I would like to welcome everybody, and I'm very happy to be back here and see all of you. And this time I chose the subjects.
Diesmal habe ich das Thema ausgesucht.
For the first time.
Das erste Mal überhaupt.
As you know, I'm very lazy. I don't want to think. And so when people ask me, what do you want to teach? I said, don't bother me with this. You just give something and I'll try to go around it. And so this year I kind of gave some topics which actually I've forgotten, but something to do with ethics and emotions and something like that. I was inspired by His Holiness Dalai Lama's Sea movement. You know about it? He just announced, launched something called Sea. Social, emotional, and education, ethical education. Yeah. Together with a university in America, and then, with the Dalai Lama Foundation and all kind of things. And it's, I think it's very important. His Holiness always talks about the ethics without religion. But this is actually, in fact, nothing but Buddhism. Because Buddhist ethics is that, it's not really too much to do with any special kind of religious thing. It's basically about how to live your life in a way that you have less problem for yourself. You make more your life more happy, more progressive, and you also do not harm others around you. Ethics is a way of life to try to live your life in a good way and not to make problems for others. Basically, that's ethics. And when I first came to the West, and for quite some time, people never wanted to listen about ethics. They said, oh, that's just like Christianity. Or, it's like, it's trying to control you by the religion. Or they had some kind of feeling like that if you, it's like restricting your activities or taking away your freedom from you. You cannot do this, you should do this, you cannot do this, something like that. I think it's actually a wrong way of seeing ethics. There are many different types of ethics. One professor in Norway taught me that there are 7 different kinds of ethics, in the studies. 7 different types, totally different types of, what you call ethics. And what we call this ethics, like this is the way to, it's good to act like this and not, it's just one kind of ethics. I've forgotten those 7 ethics, so I'm not going to talk about that. I was really looking for my notes for those, but I don't know where it is. It's a long time, and I've forgotten. But anyway, I'll forget about the 7 ethics. Maybe you can find it somewhere. It's not on Google. And this ethics, what we usually talk about, in Buddhism, is how you act with your body, with your speech, and with your mind. How you act. This is the thing, and this is this ethics, or is regarded from Buddha's point of view as the most basic, the most like a ground, to practice Dharma or to transform yourself. The first and most important thing is this ethics, because everything has to base on that. What we call the Vinaya, the Vinaya, the Buddha introduced Vinaya. And Vinaya is the ethics, is a kind of teachings on ethics, basically. And it is 12 big volumes. Of course, most of them are stories. And especially this is like a lot of them is about how a monk or nun, different levels of monks and nuns, how they should act, and how they should do things. And it's all the society, social system of the Sangha. It's discussing the social system of Sangha, how to vote. The voting system was very much, individual voting system was very much introduced by Buddha at that time in the Sangha. Every monastery have what we call as the, there's a stick. There's a stick with a little kind of something. And that you need to have that many sticks as there are monks or nuns in the monastery. And it's all bound together and tied up on top of the gate.
On top of the gate?
Gate inside the temple. So if there is certain decisions to be made, then when you get in, you give each person this one of these sticks, and then the kempo or the whoever is presiding, gives this talks, kind of explains what are the decisions to be made, and then it's a kind of yes and no, so then each person puts his vote, that means his stick, wherever he wants to. And then it's counted, and then so many yes, so many no. And then if it ties, then the kempo can cast his vote. So if it is majority, then the majority will be the decision. Like that, it's every little details of the society is discussed and things like that. But this, I'm not going into that. And this, the first level of ethics the Buddha taught is what we call Vinaya. The Vinaya is possibly the most kind of most basic ethics, and it's also how to become a monk or a nun, or all these things is also in Vinaya, but also the Vinaya is also for lay people, for just ordinary people, like householders, farmers, the general public also. And this Vinaya is very, very much based on doing, how not to harm others, how to refrain from harming yourself and others, That's the first level of ethics, is how not to harm yourself and how not to harm others. If you can, just do that, that is regarded also very important. That's one of the most important basic practice of Dharma. That's the most important basic human, what can you say, action, human life, that you stop harming yourself and others. And there, the focus is on your action, your action of body and spirit, because that is where the ethics here in this Vinaya level. The main focus is the how you act with your body and with your speech. And then in the Bodhicharya teachings, when Buddha talked about the compassion and Bodhisattva's path, there the emphasis is, of course, these Vinayas are the base. In the Bodhisattva practice also, sometimes people have some misunderstanding, I see, in the study of Dharma, in the study of Dharma, that when you study, when you practice the Shavakayana, then the Vinaya is very important. But when you become Bodhisattva or Bodhisattvayana, then Vinaya is not important. That's not the case. Vinaya is the basis. Vinaya is as important or even more important in the Bodhisattvayana as well. But on top of that, then actions of the mind is introduced, and actions of the mind is very, very important. So on top of, taking care of, you can say maybe, taking care of your actions of the body and speech, you also very much taking care of, your how you think and your motivation, and what is your intentions, and that becomes a very important training, because that affects how you act with your body and speech. Is very much is based or is influenced by how you think and how you feel, and what's your motivation and what's your intention. So therefore importance is given and training is given on that also. Then comes the Vajrayana, and sometimes this is where the problem comes. Now Vajrayana also same thing. Actually, the basis is Vinaya. Actually there is no Vajrayana without the basis of the Vinaya. If you have to, from any Buddhist point of view, if you want to, practice Vajrayana, you need to first enter into or practice the Vinaya or Sarvakayana. Then you have to take the Bodhisattva vows and practice Bodhisattvayana, and then only you take the empowerment and practice the Vajrayana. And actually in every empowerment, which is the initiation into Vajrayana, you have all these three. There's always refuge ceremony, there's a refuge taking, there's always, you repeat the refuge and things like that. That's the Vinaya or Sarvakayana. Then you have Bodhisattva. There's always a Bodhisattva's kind of vows taken. And then the actual Vajrayana's empowerments. Now in Vajrayana, important is given more to the mind, even more. Not only intentions, but your thoughts. So therefore, thoughts and emotions and intentions also is more subtle. Therefore, sometimes it is said that if you are seemingly acting very well, like you're sitting in this way and wearing these robes, and you're pretending to be very good, you're pretending to be very proper, you're pretending to be, but you see whether it's really there inside, So if it is not really there inside, you are you're a little bit imposter. You are doing what you call
theater.
Yeah, you are just doing some theater, and sometimes it's better that you if you see very clearly that what you are doing exactly inside and outside is different, then it may be actually better that you show what you are doing inside a little bit so that people can beat you up. Yeah, people can criticize you, people can, and that's better practice. Then, you kind of deceive people that, he was a very good person, he was always sitting like this, and not looking at the, should I say it? Looking at beautiful girls just like, or with a dark glass. Anyway, so these are kind of, different levels, but the basic is the Vinaya, and maybe we should more discuss this at this level. And here, when people think that these kind of rules or ethical kind of instructions given, then it's like a command. It is saying like, this is the command. Command of the God or command of the Buddha. And then if you don't do that, then you will be punished, We talk about God-fearing, God-fearing. I don't say that God-fearing is a bad thing. It's a very good thing. I think it's better fearing God than not fearing at all. But from Buddhist point of view, there's no question of God fearing. And the Buddha fearing is not there. Because Buddha cannot punish you, for anything. He has no capacity to punish you for anything. Yeah. So it's not about that. It's about, I think this sometimes the resistance of the people for these kind of things is that, I'm told to do this way, and I'm, commanded to not do this and to do this. Here it's very, very important from Buddhist point of view to understand why this is how you should be doing and why you should not be doing. It's nothing to do with somebody making a decision for you. It's nothing to do with some higher authorities making a command on you. It's all about effect of your own actions on yourself and others. Yeah? If something that is what we call negative deed, if I do it, then how it is not going to help me, but it is going to harm me, it's going to harm others, and because it's going to harm others, therefore it's not going to be good for me. When you see this very clearly, and this is the important, from Buddhist point of view, this is the most important thing, that all the ethics of our actions is to be seen the effect of that action. And this, I think, becomes very, it doesn't need any belief system, it doesn't need any religion, it doesn't need any, anything else other than a clear human intellect, and to see what this kind of action is affecting, me and others. How is it helping or harming me, helping or harming others, helping or harming others? And when you see this very clearly, then, you see why it is like that, why one action is regarded positive and another action is regarded negative. And when one sees this clearly, then, it becomes very clear that one needs to try to live this way and try to train oneself to live this way and do those things is much better for me and much better for everybody. And when that becomes clear, then, it doesn't mean that you will be doing always the 100% right thing. Yeah? Because we have all, we are not perfect. Nobody is perfect. So therefore we may not be able to live perfectly, but we can try to do as best as we can. And we can also appreciate others who are living in a positive way. And the more we appreciate people doing the positive things, the more people will try to do that. Because people like to be appreciated. Yeah? People like to be appreciated. And the more, and more people look up and appreciate and support those actions, then people who actually don't feel like living like that also pretend and live like that. And then it's like same thing. Well, it's not exactly the same thing, but much better, no? That can totally transform the society, This is the best way of actually in a way the only way of transforming the society is through that. But what is happening in the world is kind of opposite. Many times we can see very clearly that somebody who is doing really negative things is sometimes seen as powerful, as as daring, as brave, as as kind of good, and then you kind of more support that. I always tell this because I've seen it with my own experience, that people I've really seen in action, that people in the high places, or not only high places, but saying that this person is too compassionate and would not be qualified to become a headmaster or headmistress of a school. So many times people wrongly, very wrongly, think that if you are compassionate, it means you are weak. You are weak and you are inefficient. You cannot get things done. You cannot, you have no power to do things. So if that is the if that is the perspective, if that is the what can you say, attitude of the people, then what kind of people we would elect to rule over us? Brute, no compassion, and then we complain that they have no compassion for us, they don't do anything for us. Why should they do anything? Because we have asked them to be like that. And this is ruining the world. It's ruining the world. Why we have so many dictators? Why we have so many, those kind of people in higher places and in the decision-making places? Because we do not look down on them, but actually, in a way, look up to them. Unless this attitude, this way of looking changes, the world cannot become better. So therefore, it's very, very, I think, important for everybody to understand this very clearly. I mean, it's very important that we, each of us, try to live with the right kind of ethics. But even if we cannot live with, in a very good way, at least to recognize and really understand how important, some kind of that kind of ethics is. And so therefore, those who are in a positive way of, who lives or who acts in an ethical way, that we should really appreciate and, value and support. And those who don't, we don't support. And so this, I think, it becomes extremely important.